HMTV people! Oh, I've scared the cat. I love it. Oh, there you go. It hasn't gone too far. Let's give it a tickle. Let's give the pussy a tickle. Back to it. Reason for this video is to try and help educate some of the investors out there, or some people that are generally having some work done on a property. So anyway, we've taken over this house. It's recently been refurbished. It's been converted into a HMO. We've come out to do obviously an appraisal of the property, and we found some things that are not particularly good or need rectification. But then this also comes down to, it's not just the builder's fault, it's also the investor's fault, because if you are profiteering from a house and you're making a profit, therefore you're deemed as you should know what you're doing, so therefore you are principal contractor in CDM. If you are a principal contractor, then you should be looking into things like schedule of works, what the quote entails, or having a little bit more of a contract or something. Now, you don't have to have these things, but it's better to know these things, because the problems that I've now found in this house is, I can probably see there's going to be a dispute between the builder and the investor, and I don't know what the builder side to his thing is, because I don't know what paperwork was in there with regards to a contract, with regards to a schedule of works. But this, hopefully, the things that I'm going to point out in this video is not to try and point the finger at anyone in particular. It's about highlighting a situation that becomes, it's a frequent conversation whereby the investor's just going to point the finger at the builder's going to point the finger at the investor. It's not going to go anywhere, but ultimately it's because it's not really been done properly on both sides. So the investor, I think, should have probably had a little bit, well, I'm assuming, because I don't know, I'm assuming that the investor should have had a bit more of a schedule of works and a bit more detail as to what was actually being done in the property. And the builder maybe could have done a bit more of a site appraisal, or picked out a few more things, should I say. But then there might be a conversation between these two people that might have gone on, that might already answer these questions, and I'm talking out my backside. But I'm only talking from what I've seen. So I've come to a property, I've seen some things, so I thought I'll do a video to educate people, because even if this scenario in this particular house isn't the scenario I'm describing, it could very well be if the relevant paperwork's not in place. So without further ado, I'll bring you around to this. So this is a 4-bed HMO in Stoke-on-Trent. It's recently been done by somebody else, by another contractor. So on the surface of things, on the video it obviously doesn't look too bad. There's a little bit of this partition there, which is not a problem. That's just entrance to the back. There's a fire door been fitted. I can tell by the thickness and the weight of the door. So it is a fire door, but there's no door closer. Well, it's not, to be fair, for a fire door, it's not fitted the best, because if you look at the gap there, and the gap coming out here is bigger, so it should be a bit more uniform, so I can get my finger in there, which is telling me that's a bit too big. But anyway, so I don't think the door's fitted particularly well. It's also got no intermittent strips, but the idea of the intermittent strip is it sits inside there, and the brush is supposed to touch the door. Now, inside the plastic strip is a substance in there, and when it detects heat, it actually expands. So the idea is that that gap all the way around the door, and down here as well, move the camera down, can you see that gap where my finger is? Tickle, tickle, this finger. It sits in the frame, and the idea is if there's a fire that side, it detects the heat, it expands, and it blocks all that door, all that gap, which then stops any smoke coming into here. So obviously you don't die of smoke inhalation. So they are missing, and there's also no door closer on there. So if you're going to put a fire door on there, then you might as well do it properly and put the door closer on. Apart from that, it's got a thumb turn, so it's okay. So like I say, I'm only in bedroom 1, which is the downstairs bedroom. And the other thing that I've noticed is, if you look above me, there's a solid wall there, and coming across here, there's a solid wall there. Now if you see where this coving is, it stops there. You can see a bit of, to be fair, shit plastering. I'm not very happy with that. Which goes down to here, to the coving, and then across there. So they've removed the chimney is what I'm trying to describe to you, and that's a giveaway sign of what it is. But they've removed the chimney and they've not put any steel in there. So that chimney is now unsupported, so we've got to come in now and put a steel in there. So this is where I was getting back to the paperwork, as has it been quoted for? The builder should know to put a steel in there, to be honest. But again, I don't know I'm not going to get into the legalities, but this video is about educating the investor or people at home to say that, be careful how you structure your deals with your relationship with your builder, because this is obviously going to be, potentially be a problem now, because we're saying it needs a steel in there. And the builder might be saying, I'm not putting a steel in there, I was never quoted for it in the first place, yada, yada, yada. But ultimately, a piece of steel needs to go in there to hold that up, and someone's going to have to pay for it. So try your best to avoid these situations, people. That's what this is about. And the other little bit of, can we get it down there? The other telltale sign is this piece of skirting board that's new, but then leaving it like that is absolutely shite. For what it had cost extra, so we just bring this out so you get perspective. That there's where the join is. What it would be extra to just replace all that so it's one big piece rather than having that big dirty gap there. That's just shoddy for me, for what it would cost just to put a full piece in. But again, it depends the detail on the quote. What is the builder quoted for? What has the investor asked for? And is it down in writing? And that's what these things are about. So something else that we've realised as well is these emergency lights, although they're all well and good having them fitted, when they are fitted, the idea is that they are on a battery backup. So the idea is that if the electric is ever cut off in the event of a fire, the electric cuts off to these, and then it ignites, the battery that's already inside there takes over and lights a pathway. So the idea is that if you're running down the stairs and it's dark and there's smoke everywhere, that these things then illuminate the way out. So I'm standing at the bottom of the stairs. You've got one there. Behind me is the front door, which is there, and above there you've got the fire exit sign. So we have got it in, but that shouldn't be on. So it's wired up wrong. So again, just to reiterate, that should be off now. It should only be on once the electric goes off. So into this room, it's a little bit on the small side, but again, things I'm going to notice is, again, the door doesn't shut. So it's obviously swollen and whatever else. There's no door closer on there. There's no intermittent strips. The same as everywhere else. So again, I'm standing at the bottom of the stairs, and there's the kitchen. And something I've noticed is you've got a fire door frame in, so someone's taken the time to put a fire door frame in, but they haven't put a fire door in. So obviously that's going to be that's classed as the hot zone. So you'd put, you've got to put a fire door there, because you've got to provide yourself with a 60-minute fire corridor. So if you're upstairs and you're running down these stairs and you're wanting to get out, if there's a fire in the kitchen, then obviously it spreads outside you. When you come to the bottom of the stairs, you can't get out. So unless there's fire egress windows, that's a bit of a no-no as well, people. Other things that I've noticed, this is with regards to the build, is there's some box work up here, and there's signs of a leak. Now, no one's lived in here yet, so that needs rectifying. We'll call that a snag. I don't think the kitchen's particularly done very well, or designed very well, because it's obviously had a new one. But we've measured the distance from the wall from there to there, and it's just under 600, so it's going to be very, very hard to get a washing machine in. But then the joiner's cut this off, so there's not a sharp edge that you're going to walk into. But then when you put the washing machine there, where my finger is, then it's going to be a sharp edge, so that kind of defeats the problem. But then looking at this, you've got all this space over here, so there's nothing stopping them. Well, that should have just been moved over slightly, to allow more space, and then we won't have an issue. So, a bit of a crappy design. In terms of functionality for a tenant, it's not particularly good. Something else now that's quite bad, you can probably see these blotches all over this wall. There, and there. So there's lots of damp coming from the top, down, coming to the little gap between the bathroom and the kitchen. And we've got signs of damp here, condensation coming all the way down on the skirting. And we've got the same damp issues there, look. So again, this is just to sort of stop this saying, this is to try and stop these things happening to somebody else. Because there's probably going to be a bit of a dispute on this one, I'm assuming. So I'm going to show you where I think the damp's coming from, because this is the other side of the arch, and you can see all this damp here, that's quite bad. Stained all the way down. Now, bearing in mind, this has just been refurbished. No one's lived in it yet. Now, I don't know if this is the particular builder or whether this has been done before this house was done, but whoever's done it, this is shite. So, we've got water ingress from there. The brown silicon shrunk, and someone's come over with a white bead of silicon. But it's not been smeared, so it's not really covered the gap. So water's still getting in from there. That's shit. The back door, again, silicon bandits. It's not very neat, and then it gets down there and then they've left it. So there's just expander foam here. So that's not been finished off. So that could be contributing to the water egress on the inside. Now this is the f***ing best of this. So the title of this video may be the mudslinging bandits, because believe you me, there's no excuse for that, but that is shit. It's that shit I'm going to give it a tickle. It's like Picasso's masterpiece. So that would have previously been an air vent that's been taken out, and so someone has literally just got 2 house bricks, put them in upright, and just, well, I did that when I was 6 with mud. They made mud pies with it, it's not even pointed up. So, you know, the bond of the brick's not even gone across. They just chucked it in there and left it, and this has just been refurbished again. Now, I don't know if the builder's done it or it's done before previous, but that's shite. We've got that missing, so there's damp on the inside again, so that wants a bit of brickwork putting in there and filling in. The other bit I've noticed is down here where they've come out for the shower. That's actually the DPC line, believe it or not. So can you see where the brick's changed? So you've got the engineer's course there, then you've got the face brick at the top, and in between there is the DPC. They've actually damaged the DPC by smashing out below it and left it open, so that's not been pointed. So all that needs pointing in. So that's a bit naughty. Something else that I've noticed. So the fascia board for the flat roof is rotten to the power over here, to the point now where, if you can see above me, there's a massive gap. So birds can get in there, you could have anything nesting in there. But more importantly, you can get water ingress. So that fascia board wants doing. Now again, I don't know what was down on the quote for the refurbishment, so I don't know whether this is the builder at fault or it's just something that's been missed. However, I'm now going to hang off this apparatus that's been kindly put up by the council for me, just for me to do this video, so that I can show you. Hang on, let me just climb up. There we go. This is like Blue Peter. Here's one I prepared earlier. So if you can see this flat roof, that's water that's still sat there. That's water that's sat there on the flat roof. So that's what we call pooling, which means that the rafters have started to sink. The wood started to just have a little bit of a cup, and it's collecting water. And if you can see how it's been painted silver, that's That's like reflectant paint to try and stop the UV rays from the sun penetrating the felt and breaking it down. But then round the outsides here, this is called flash band, which is like a temporary repair that goes all the way around. Now I can see, you probably can't see it from the video, but I can see patches of flash band where they've patched up the initial flash band, which means that roof's basically knackered. And where all the damp was in the archway inside the house is right beneath where that pool of water is, right on that edge. So again, I don't know what was quoted for, whether there's any sort of talk of roofs, but even if there wasn't a talk of doing a roof on the actual bill quote, that should have been brought up as an extra. Now maybe it has, maybe the investor didn't want to do it and he doesn't know anything about it, but that is a problem. And like I say, this hasn't even got tenants in there yet, and you've already got damp coming through. So that, my friends, needs rectifying. So, bedroom at the top of the stairs. So these have got, I wouldn't call them en suites, these are showers. So it's a shower and sink inside there. Again, on the face of it, it doesn't look too bad. It's dressed quite nice. Maybe I'm a bit anal with this, but one thing that I always advise people, and this is probably one of the best ways of, what's the word I'm looking for? This might be one of the best ways of demonstrating why. So this is what I call a good HMO and a bad HMO. I would say this is a bad one because it's not been designed properly. And the reason is behind us. Yep, there's a bed, looks nice. There's a lamp next to it, but they haven't designed it, there's no sockets next to the bed. So if you want the lamp on, you've now got to have a big dirty trip hazard going into that socket. Now if this had a full refurbishment, why would you not design it and put that there to do away with this trip hazard? Maybe I'm a bit anal, but I think it would be a far better job if it was done properly. But that's my humble opinion. And because I said that there was no steel in the chimney downstairs to be removed, I know that because we've pulled up a couple of floorboards and checked, and all there's is a piece of timber going across there. So I can say factually, there is no steel, which means we need to put some steel in. But again, on the surface, it didn't look too bad. But now the investor or the owner needs a new roof at the back. All the damp needs sorting out. It needs some more stuff doing to the fire doors. It wants steel putting in across there. So he's now going to get building control out if he hasn't already got it out. He's going to get a structural engineer to do the calculations to know what size steel it's going to be put in, which means there's going to be more plastering done downstairs where the steel is. It's going to be fireboarded over, so there's a bit more plastering. Padstows put on either side. Now it's not a huge thing, but it's big enough. But however, the fact that it's been left like that isn't a good sign. So again, this is why I'm saying you need to make sure that the paperwork's in order when you're employing a builder to do any sort of work, to try and stop any disputes. I don't know if there's going to be a dispute. I'm suspecting it will be, but I can't say it is. So I'm not going to badmouth the builder or the investor at this moment in time. I'm using this video purely as an example of, this has been given to us for lettings. I've walked around. These are the things I've found out. I don't think it's ready for lettings because it needs more work doing to it, and someone's going to have to sort that out. So it's just a little bit of a message from me to say, get your paperwork straight, folks, because this could happen to you one day. And that's it from me. I'll see you later.